Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I've recorded. Honestly, I needed some time off for myself. I needed to also think about this channel a bit more because everything has switched over to AI. Where I was heading with this channel was, you know, really digging into how to use Cypress and Playwright and all that. But I think the industry has changed enough that that's not the case anymore. So I had to rethink it. And yeah, I'm taking this channel definitely in a more AI direction because that's basically all I'm doing at work. I don't think I've written a line of code in a few months. Yeah, it's just all AI. It's managing AI. It's figuring out how AI works. So I think that is the direction I'm taking this channel. And I don't know if it's going to be all just about software testing. I think it might be about writing quality tools, writing other tools, how to vibe code, just the fun stuff I'm discovering with AI, as well as mixing in my experiences with the industry. So I'm kind of turning this more into a kind of a video journal, a vlog. But I will still be showing technical things. I'm not sure it's going to evolve as I go along. Bear with me, try to get through it. I'm also probably going to share some personal things and how it relates to career, um, just weird thoughts that go through my brain that I might try to bring into like how you handle your personal life with your career and balance those things, how you actually should be. And that's another reason I've taken some time off. I needed to really develop my social life outside of work. And that's what I've been taking time doing and what I'm currently doing. So, yeah, I'm in a running club. I got a tabletop RPG night with friends, and I've been taking improv classes, and I love the improv classes so much. I did not think I would be as into it as I am, but I am loving improv comedy. I'm not a funny person, but improv comedy, you don't need to be a funny person. The funniness just seems to happen on its own. Um, but yeah, so I'm probably be bringing those things in. I'm also wondering if I can do like improv with how improv can help you with your career. Bring some things I'm learning from that over. All the exercise I'm doing with the run clubs, I can bring that over. Honestly, I think it's so valuable. For me, it's psychologically wonderful to have hobbies outside of work, to have something that you're not in front of a screen. Some of the things I was doing, my hobbies, like this YouTube channel, it's like I spent all day at work and then spend all night working on these YouTube videos, and man, it was a bit draining. So I had to take a step back and think of simpler ways to do things. So I'm not spending hours editing videos. But I took that step back and also decided to do the social stuff, and I'm just in a much better headspace right now. So I'm probably not going to be doing as a slick video. I'm going to be doing like the close-ups and all that stuff. Not unless I can get some AI tool to automatically do that stuff for me. I'm also cutting out a lot of the prep I was doing. I was doing so much prep to do these videos. I think it's just kind of go with what I do. I'm trying to keep my time invested in this pretty short, but so I can be more consistent and not burn out. And hopefully, as this channel goes on, I'll find ways to give more like in-depth demos and whatnot in a way that I can manage and doesn't make me pull my hair out. But I think I can give you valuable advice without going into a ton of tech details. Sometimes all you need is like the high level overview, and you can take that into your job. But also, if you have specific questions on things, I don't mind diving deeper. It just might be a little bit slower for those more technical videos to come out with all the screenshots and sharing and all that. So let me know in the comments, what you think, what you would like to hear about as far as like software testing and the industry and AI and any questions you might have. But yeah, right now I'm going to riff on just how I'm using AI right now and kind of the step backs I'm taking to make it work right. Especially with vibe coding, I see all these people doing all these crazy vibe coding things, and it looks like they're just brilliant products that just they can just shit out in a second. uh, that's not my experience with using AI in any type of coding project that is not like a vanilla to do app. You can crap those out all day long. But as soon as you're getting into stuff that is actual, real, new work, things that are going in a different direction that other people haven't done a lot of, if you're actually being creative, I found that the AI will destroy it instantly. It'll get something working, and then in the next chat session, it'll destroy it. So as wonderful as AI is, I have found that it's really the guardrails you put into place, the planning you put into place, and the quality you put into place. So let me just I'll give like 3 points. So the first one that I always do, I'm at Cisco right now, they want us using Codex. So it's an experiment on their part to see if the Codex app is doing this thing. I would prefer if we use Claude code. I think Claude, the Anthropic stuff is so much better for coding. It is so good. I even saw a video where it just showed like a head-to-head battle between Claude and Codex. But I'll digress. That's something else for another day. At my job, I'm using Codex, and the first thing I do is put it in planning mode. And I spend a long time on planning, even for insignificant things. Just the next stage, I put it into plan first. Then after I'm happy with the plan, I let it go. And it takes a lot more time up front. And this is the typical software creative thing, is you want it to just go and do things right away. That is exactly the wrong approach. You need clarity. You need specifics. You need examples. You need a very good plan. So the first thing I do is do the plan. However, I see these projects and they just want to do everything at once. Do not do that. AI is not good at doing everything at once. AI has limited windows of context to do things. The more shit you shove into that context, it hits a limit. And then once it hits that limit, it'll compact all that back down. So it'll make guesses for all the stuff that it can't hold in memory. So it'll compact it all back down, and you don't know what it's lost. You don't know what the new model is doing with that information. Is it planning things? Is it holding? Is it having memory? We don't know. So the planning phase is really important. And then you need to chop that plan into very small phases, very small, actionable things. One like little project I'm doing to help make video editing or creating this stuff easier is I think just an AI assistant to help me out. And I've seen a few other YouTubers doing that as well. But I'm just taking it very step by step, because I tried doing it vibe coding, just like, hey, do all this stuff. And man, it worked great for a second and then just kept degrading every time. Like I'd get one thing working and the other thing would stop working. And then, it just got so messy. So planning first, small steps. These small steps help the AI really focus on what it's doing. So it's not like trying to think of every little thing that you've asked it to do. It's like, oh, you only want this one step. Oh, I only needed to design this page, this web page. I only need to do this part API on the back end. I only need, it's like, I need to do these CRUD steps, CRUD, create, read, update, destroy. That's for APIs, that's like the golden way of handling resources. Create, read, update, destroy, CRUD. I just focus on like individual APIs or individual, like either a whole web page, or if it's a complex web page, just an element on that web page, or just a use case scenario that is small. And then plan those out, give examples for each thing. So that's the second part of the planning stage. The third thing, and this is super important for planning, have the AI ask you questions. So at the end of any prompt, almost all of my prompts now, every time I do a chat thing, at the very end of it, whether it's the planning phase or not, this is not just planning phase, I always say, stop and ask questions if anything is unclear. And it just doesn't matter if this is like Codex or Claude or GPT models or Opus, Sonnet, whatever, doesn't matter. Stop and ask questions. Anything is unclear or ambiguous. Turn that into a reusable prompt right there. And just always add it at the end of each statement. The reason is if you don't tell it to do that. Anything that's unclear or ambiguous, it's going to make guesses. It's going to guess, and you don't know if it's going to guess correctly or incorrectly or go down some weird path. Almost every time I vibe code, it always goes and adds extra things and does weird things I didn't want it to, even with all of this stuff I'm telling you. So if you give it any wiggle room, it will wiggle. And it's probably not going to wiggle in a way that you want it to wiggle. So, yes, wiggle. I don't even know. That's going to be the new AI term right there. Hey, watch your wiggles. Back on track, Seth. Back on track. Here we go. So, yeah, that's basically the 3 things for the planning stage. And then I move on to, do the execution stage. But the execution stage, usually you get the initial project started up. As soon as you get just the scaffolding, don't make it do anything before that point. You need tests. You need tests from the beginning. The only way to keep your project from getting destroyed with every commit, tests. That's what you need. So, what tests am I talking about? You need at least unit testing. Unit testing isn't the begin all end all though. But unit testing, and for those of you who don't know what unit testing is, that is a type of test where you're not testing the whole system, you're just testing the individual code itself. So like if you had a piece of code that just says, hey, give me a number and I will double that number, that's all you do. You just execute that code. You put in all the numbers and you put in a null number, you put in giant numbers and see what happens if you can overflow it. That's this little unit of code. It's just testing all the lines of this code, the branches in that code. You're trying to test all the scenarios of just the code snippet yourself, but you isolate that function. So this is going to be the about all the graphics you're going to get is me circling my hand here. I don't even know if it's a good circle, but yeah, you isolate that and you like mock things out around it. It's not a real thing at all. It's just meant to exercise that code, and these unit tests are ways of saying, hey, this is the way I expect it to this code to be accepting inputs and outputs. That's it. And very first thing, and the cool thing about unit testing is you can also get code coverage. So I implement code coverage on the AI as well. I say, hey, and I write it in quite a few different places because AI will try to turn off your code coverage, I swear. But I say, hey, these are the thresholds, and this is the thresholds that need to be met. Like 90, I always try to go for at least 90% code coverage in my projects. And if it dips below that 90% code coverage, I have a git commit hook that fails it. So git commit hook fails it, so it can't even commit the code. So make sure it's very important. If the coverage goes down or anything, or it changes, or those tests fail, make it block you from committing. Block the AI from committing code. Because it has to stop and think. And then see what it did wrong, and then go back to the plan and go, oh, I needed to do this, or, oh, I found a bug, I need to update. I've seen it find bugs left and right from doing this. It's like a junior developer in that way, a very brilliant junior developer. So yeah, the code coverage thresholds, enforce them. I also put in static analysis. So say for Python, there's this thing called rough, and it has a whole bunch of tools that it checks. If you're doing a node project, you want ESLint in there. There are a large number of static analysis tools, and what these do, they find problems. I think in general, I call static analysis, something say linting. Some of these are linting tools. They're also formatting tools. What they do is, and they're called static analysis because they're not executing your code. It's just looking at your code and finding problems just with the code itself. So the ESLint will go through and look at it and say, oh, your types aren't correct here. You're doing TypeScript, but you're not doing all the different type enforcement. Here's problems. Here, your method is way too long. You have too much stuff in here. You have return functions that are blocking code or have unreachable code. A whole bunch of things. It's way too much. But it finds these things. If you ever worked with C++ or something, that would be the compiler. The compiler will look through and said, no, you did something wrong. But scripting code just kind of operates as it goes, so you don't have that in a compiler. the linting tools, the static analysis tools will tell you there's a problem. So I put that in the pre-commit too. So it's like, boom, you can't check in if you're introducing a whole bunch of problems. You have to fix those problems first before the code can even be committed. So static analysis, you got unit tests with code coverage. I got a formatters in there to make sure the code is always properly formatted. With Python, I use black. I think black is built into the rough tool. And for Node, I always use prettier. I really don't do a lot of configuration beyond that because I'm not even looking at the code anymore. But if I have to look at the code, it better be formatted nicely. So that's that. So those two. The final one. Then there's integration tests, and then there's end-to-end tests. These are really important because that's when you get into interaction with the different parts of your code. So, the integration tests are like the space in between unit testing and in between end-to-end testing. What integration test does is it tries to test like one or more components interacting together and then fakes everything else out. So an example would be you have your front end and you're trying to test your front end, the web page, and you're trying to test a form on that, but you don't care about the back end so much. You're not testing the back end. What you do is you mock out the back end, you fake it, you intercept the network calls, whatever you need to do, and then it just exercises on the form, and it gives you a whole bunch of return values back that you can set, so you can actually trigger error conditions, you can trigger all this stuff and see how the system reacts in a simulated way. And then finally you have the end-to-end tests, which are kind of the final business scenarios, the actual core functional scenarios that you're trying to validate in the system. So end-to-end test is a real environment that you're testing against, not necessarily your production environment, but a production-like environment that you can run these tests against. You do the full scenarios, test the features out that they're working in a real environment, and the problem is these tests can be flaky or whatnot, so there's a little bit of management there. Anyway, I put all of these things in place. So again, that's unit tests with code coverage, linters and formatters in static analysis tools, and finally end-to-end tests. If you don't have a CI/CD pipeline system, I just put those end-to-end tests directly into the pre-commit hook, and it fails if those end-to-end tests. That's not a practical way to do a giant project, but if you're getting started and you haven't got your pipeline set up, I would highly recommend you do that. You just don't want the AI to merge in junk that's breaking things, and the end-to-end test will tell you for sure something's freaking broken. That's like the final. It's also the slowest running test, so you want to handle as much as possible in the unit tests and the integration tests, and then finally do the core scenarios in the end-to-end tests. And that's something you're going to need to tell your AI, and you got to make skills, you got to make a whole bunch of documents, and you got to put a whole bunch of stuff to like tell it this is the process. These things, if you have these things in place, all these tests and they're passing, you get them passing first before you code anything, before you have the AI go out and start coding. Just get a general structure, like when you your greenfield project just has the general structure, like you just have the web page and maybe nothing really going on with the back end yet, but enough for you to just set up all these tests as soon as possible, as early as possible. Get this stuff set up. And those are the guardrails. This tells AI it screwed up, and the AI has a way of running things and saying, oh, I screwed up. And it gets that feedback loop, and then it can keep going and fix things as it goes. You have to keep an eye on it. Sometimes it's like it wants to turn things off that it should not turn off. You always have to double check the AI. It does tricky things with the tests. It'll try to turn tests off. It'll try to lower coverage. You have to keep an eye out for that and say, don't do that. And tell it to go back and try again without turning tests off or ignoring tests or trying to skip the pre-commit hooks. It'll try to do it, but you have to write out documents, some .md files that say, hey, you need to follow this process. You can't skip this. You can't use -- no verify on git commit. You can't skip any of these. You have to do the pre-commit hooks. You can't merge this into main until everything passes. You got to put that stuff into a document and outline it, or else it will ignore all these things you put into place. Yeah, and then as you go along, you tell it, hey, it's part of the process that you don't. This is not done until you have new tests for whatever it is. So that's part of your plan. You tell the plan, hey, each part of these needs to have the end-to-end test, unit test, and need to be passing each time. And as you make stuff, you need to make new tests every freaking time. And I said end-to-end tests. That's great. I would maybe also add, if you're building in the back-end system, you probably want to put API test as well. They're like end-to-end test, except you're not using the UI. Sometimes there's different frameworks that make just testing the APIs a little bit easier than using something like Playwright. You might just use like PyTest or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, getting into the weeds there. The important thing, the basic concept, if you don't even want to get in the weeds of all that, you need tests. Quality is very important here. Tests prevent the AI from going too far off the rails. It gives it a grounding, and it gives you confidence that it didn't break any features that you already have. So that's how it prevents AI from destroying the stuff you've already worked on. Because it will destroy the things you've already worked on. So I think I said those are going to be a 3-part process, but I think honestly that's enough. Planning, test. Planning, test. No, planning, question. No, I got 3 parts here. Planning, questions. Always ask questions. Have it ask you questions to clarify things. And 3, test. I think that's good. This is good for this video. Any questions? Drop me a comment. Is this your experience of vibe coding? Or do you not use any tests? Have you experienced any weirdness? Do you think this might help you? Do you think I'm completely crazy or bonkers? Let me know in the comments. I want to hear from you. This channel's, it's for me, but it's also for you. This might be a little bit of therapy for me. Now I'm turning it more into a journal type thing about my career. Don't look, boss. Don't look. But yeah, leave me a comment. I got a free download here for the top 5. It's been a while since I even said this. I can't even remember the free download I got, but it's going to be in the comments here. It's a little PDF I put together to what I feel is necessary for experienced test engineers should always have in their coding process and their CI/CD process, common problems, whatnot, things it's taken me like 25 years in the industry to learn. I just kind of distilled it into a few easy things in this download. So look down below. It's like the top 5 best software automation practices or something. I'll remember it for next video. I'm not going to remember it right now because it is like it's almost 1 in the morning right now. I got to wake up at 7. So I am done for the night. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Go out there and test things. And also, yeah, here's some videos if you think my brain is totally falling apart right now. Check out this next video. It complements what's going on and what I've already said in this video. So if you check out this video, it's just going to help you a little bit more. So I'll try to put a video up here that is related to what I've been talking about. All right, take care. Happy testing.